Hello and welcome to Paper Plays Julie K.
Thanks so much for stopping by and spending some time with me. And today I have a gorgeous design team project to share with you guys from Angel Dream Crafts. And again, Angel Dream Crafts is a store on Etsy that's owned by Kim, and she sells gorgeous laces and trim, bling, embellishments, just to name some of the items. And I do know she has a wide variety of inner items, but they are very popular and they do go pretty fast. She's constantly getting in new inventory, which I love, because every time you sign on to her store in Etsy, there's always something new. So it's always fun to see what she has in her shop. And if you guys do open up my description box below, I do have a link to Kim's store. I also have links to the other ladies who are participating on the design team. And I also have links to some other projects that I have created for Kim's store that I would of course love to have you watch if you haven't already, for inspiration and just to give you an idea of all of the gorgeous items that Kim does carry in her store. And I also wanted to mention real quick that if you are shipping to the US, she does offer free shipping if you spend $35, which I think is a great deal. And it's definitely not very hard at all to spend $35 in her store, just because she has so many fun things in her store. And before I show you my design team project, which I am really excited about, I will show you the items that I use from her store. Again, she does carry some beautiful bling in her store, and so I did use one of these rhinestone brooches on my project today. She also has some gold ones, and as I'm filming this, I do know she still has this. I did check. She still does have this brooch in her store. And she also still is carrying this bling in her store. She also has a similar one that she just posted that actually has pink in it. A pink and rhinestone one. So that one just is new in her store. And then she does carry some rhinestone chain. They have this kind of traditional one. And then she also carries one that she calls Aurora Borealis, which has just a little bit of a rainbow shimmer to it. But I did use kind of the basic one for today's project. The next item that I used on today's project was this 2-layered lace. It is gathered and there is a layer of tulle underneath it, which is really fun. This one's really fun for making flowers, and I used it differently in today's project. And I also went a step further, and I also went ahead and I sewed on beads onto my final project. I left one on here just so you guys could see that. But I did go ahead and embellish it even further by adding some pearls to it. I also used this gorgeous dangle trim, and Kim is very well known on her shop for selling all sorts of wonderful dangle trims. And so I did use this one. And what I chose to, on my project, I chose to just cut off the dangles and use the dangle part. So I still have this beautiful section right here left to use on something. And I still have quite a few dangles left. The other item in her shop that I used on today's project is this gorgeous bridal trim. And it does have sequins on it. And it is quite large. If I hold my hand up on there, you can kind of see that it runs from here to here. And I ended up just cutting up just a small section and using it. So here is the gorgeous project that I created using products from Angel Dream Crafts. And I'm really excited again about this project. I've had this metal dress form in my stash for quite a while. And I kept on looking at it, wanting to alter it. And I just hadn't been inspired. And when Kim sent me her design team, or my design team package for this month, she had of course sent this gorgeous bridal trim right here. And I definitely saw a way to use this on this dress form, so I decided it was time to go ahead and alter this dress form. And so I did find this dress form at a thrift store, and I paid a couple bucks for it. It was black and it was all metal, and I went ahead and spray painted it with chalk paint. And in a minute I will tip it up so you guys can see it head on, but I wanted to show you a few things first. So when I say it was all metal, if you look kind of on the inside, you can kind of see that it was see-through all the way through. And so what I ended up doing is, because I knew I wanted to glue laces and trims on it, I went ahead and I added several layers of tissue paper and Mod Podge, and that gave it a nice base. And I went ahead and painted it white with some chalk paint to match. And I'll tell you guys, it was very, very messy doing that, but it turned out great, and it gave me a nice base to go ahead and add the laces and trims. And then the other item that I created was the wings. I looked everywhere to try and find wings that were already done, and I just couldn't find what I wanted. And so I went ahead and I took a couple pieces of material and I glued them onto wire, and I shaped them so that they would look like wings. And then I went ahead and just glued down a whole bunch of wings on top of it, and they are quite long once I attached them. And before I attached them, I went ahead and decorated the whole dress, and then the last thing I did was attach them on the back side. So if you look at the top of the dress form, this came from this lace right here. And so I did do a lot of cutting and re-putting the trim back, the bridal trim back together. But it did start off with this main piece right here. I kind of flipped it this way. And so you can see this part right here is what I cut out to begin with. So this part right here. And then this part will continue on the back side, and you'll see that in a minute. And then I just cut up some of the other little pieces. You know, there's a flower here, and I added some pieces up here just to kind of finish it off. And there's some flowers here. And I did decorate the whole back side with the little snippets that were left over after I did this part. But unfortunately, most of them got covered because of the wings. And then I added some of that gorgeous rhinestone trim up here. And also that bling piece right here. And then at the very end also, I added rhinestone right here. And then that rhinestone bling with the pearl on the sides, just to give it a nice belt look. And then I also took one of the pieces from inside of the chain rhinestone, and I added it to the middle of the flower just so it would carry out some of the bling up there. And then so if you go ahead and look at the dress part, I used this trim and I sewed on all of the little pearls that you see. And I just love how that turned out. If I would have had another yard of this, I would have wrapped it all the way around the dress, but I just had enough to do the front with just a little snippet left over. And then I also added some tulle to the side. And this is very stiff tulle, and it came off of a wedding dress that my mother-in-law picked up for me at a thrift store. And so it turned out perfect for this because it was so thick. And then if you look underneath the tulle, I did just add some basic lace just to glue down. And then I also had a little trim piece here that I added just to kind of finish it off on the sides. And then I'm going to flip it over so you guys can see the back side. And so again, I did use the dangle trim right here, and I ended up cutting off just the dangle part. And then I also added flat back pearls to each of the little circles on this dangle. And so when it stands up, these will hang down. And so again, I'll show you guys that when I flip it up with a different camera angle. So I did add all of those pearl pieces to those dangles, and it's so pretty when it's standing up. And then you can see the back part of a little bit of that trim, that bridal trim right here. And this worked perfectly right here to wrap around and add kind of a belt on the back side. And then it also worked well because then I adhered the dangle pieces behind each of the sequins. And so there's one dangle piece for each of the sequins on that part. And then again, I went ahead and added the wings, and then I added the beautiful silver brooch to kind of finish it off in the middle there. And it is so pretty. So here is a quick view of the back side of the dress form that I wanted to share with you guys. I did have a problem trying to get the whole dress form on camera just because of my angles on the tripod and in my craft room. And so this is a pretty good view, I think, hopefully for you guys. It does measure, if you want to know the dimensions, it is 18 inches tall. And then from wingtip to wingtip, it is 15 inches. So it is a pretty good size dress form. And again, I just wanted to point out the couple of items from Angel Dream Crafts. The dangle trim that I had cut up and added the pearls onto, the bridal trim. And as you can see, I was able to wrap it around to make kind of a nice belt right there. And the brooch, the rhinestone and silver brooch. That's just gorgeous. It just makes it sparkle. And I'll zoom in a little bit more so you guys can see the details, and then I'll flip it so you can see the front side. And I will also kind of pan down just so you can see the legs. But again, I just had a hard time getting it all on camera. So there is the close-up view of the dangle trims with the pearl on it. And a close-up view of the brooch so that you guys can see that. So here is the view of the front of the dress form. I really love how this project turned out. Here's a close-up view of the front of the dress form. I really love how this trim turned out, and it almost made it look like it had ruffles on the dress. And of course I love the added detail that I added of the pearls and the beautiful bling and rhinestone belt. And you can maybe catch a few of the glimpses of the dangles hanging off of the side of the tulle there. Here's a close-up view of the top part of the dress form. And again, you can see the bling and the rhinestone chain. And of course, the bridal trim that I cut up and manipulated for the top of the bodice. I really love how I was able to do that. And I'll zoom out again so you can kind of get an overall look. Here's one last view of the dress form. I really love how this turned out and how I was able to use the products from Angel Dream Crafts to make my vision come alive. Hopefully you guys were also inspired by it too. I do have links listed below in the description box, so make sure you guys check those out. And until next time, happy crafting.